The night on planet Vora was colder than ice and darker than space itself. The stars above were broken by thick gray clouds, and lightning flashed like silent knives across the sky. The ground cracked under the weight of old dust and glowing blue moss. A single human ship cut through the blackness, a small explorer craft named Eden 9. Inside, Commander Ryan Cole sat alone, his face tired, his eyes fixed on the radar. He had been searching for any signs of life for weeks, but all he found was silence. Then suddenly, the silence broke. A cry, soft, high-pitched, almost human, echoed through his headset. It wasn't a signal from the radio. It was something else. Something alive. Ryan froze. He turned the scanners toward the sound. The machine beeped fast, showing life signs deep in the forest ahead. The readings were strange, the two small heat sources close together surrounded by a dead zone. Two life forms, he whispered.
How can that be possible?
Without thinking twice, he grabbed his helmet, locked the air seal, and stepped out into the alien night. The air outside shimmered like glass. The forest was a maze of glowing trees, each one breathing out light. The ground pulsed under his boots, almost alive. The cries came again, louder this time. Desperate. Ryan followed the sound through twisted roots and burning fog until he reached a crashed ship, half buried, smoking, its hull cracked open like a wound. Alien symbols ran across the side, glowing faintly blue. Inside, the sound was clear now, the crying of two tiny infants. Ryan's heart stopped. He stepped closer and saw them, two small alien babies wrapped in silver cloth. Their skin shimmered softly like crystal under moonlight. Their eyes, big and bright, glowed with pure silver light. They were unlike anything he had ever seen. Yet their faces, there was something familiar about them, something almost human. He scanned them with his wrist device. The result made his breath catch. DNA match, 43% human origin. What? He whispered. That can't be right. One of the babies reached out with a tiny glowing hand touching his glove. The moment it did, his suit sensors spiked. A strange pulse of energy ran through him like electricity, but soft, almost gentle. Then the wind changed. The forest grew silent. The trees stopped glowing. The air grew cold. Ryan felt watched. He looked around but saw nothing, only shadows shifting between the light. He turned back to the wreck and noticed the mother, an alien woman, lifeless, lying near the twins. Her hands were wrapped around a pendant made of black crystal shaped like a tear. He picked it up. The pendant hummed with strange energy. Inside it, tiny lights flickered like a map. Suddenly, his radio came alive with static and a whisper, soft but clear. Return them. Before the moon bleeds, Ryan froze. The voice was not human. Who's there? He said, scanning the trees. Show yourself. No answer. Only the forest breathing slowly again. He looked down at the babies, still crying, the sound breaking his heart. They were helpless, fragile, alone. He knew he couldn't leave them here. The wreck was unstable, and his oxygen warning was flashing red. Carefully, he lifted the babies into his arms. Their light dimmed as if they finally felt safe. All right, little ones, he murmured. Let's get you out of here. He turned to leave, and then that's when the ground shook. From deep under the soil came a low rumble, like something enormous waking up. The trees bent backward as a wave of dust and wind exploded outward. Ryan ran, clutching the twins tight against his chest. Behind him, the crashed ship sank into the earth, swallowed whole. When he reached the edge of the forest, he looked back and the glowing trees had gone dark, every light dead except one. A single symbol burned in the dirt where the ship had been, a human hand holding two stars. Ryan felt a chill crawl up his spine. He climbed back into his ship, sealing the hatch. The babies were quiet now, their silver eyes staring at him. He placed them in a stasis pod for safety and connected the pendant to his ship's computer. The system cracked the alien code within seconds. Coordinates appeared on his screen, deep inside the southern region of Vora. A location marked only with a symbol, the hidden village. Ryan leaned back in his seat, trying to understand. Is that where you came from? He asked softly, looking at the twins. They didn't answer, but their eyes glowed brighter, like they understood. The whisper returned through the radio, louder this time. Return them. Before the moon bleeds, Ryan looked outside. The moon of Vora, once pale white was now turning red. He didn't know who or what had spoken to him. He didn't know what danger waited at those coordinates, but he did know one thing. He couldn't turn away now. With a deep breath, he started the ship's engines. The forest behind him faded into shadow as the Eden 9 lifted off. The two alien babies slept peacefully beside him, and as the ship moved toward the unknown, a strange light pulsed in the pendant, like a heartbeat. Ryan Cole didn't know it yet, but the journey he had just begun would not only change his life, it would change the fate of two worlds. The sun of planet Vora rose slowly, a dull red sphere behind layers of fog and ash. Commander Ryan Cole hadn't slept all night. The cries of the alien babies still echoed in his head, even though they now slept quietly inside the stasis pod. He sat in the pilot seat, staring at the strange coordinates glowing on his screen, the ones hidden inside the black pendant. The place was deep in the southern zone, far beyond any human chart. His heart told him to go. His mind told him to stay away, but he couldn't ignore that voice again. "Let's find your home," he whispered. The ship rose from the ground, engines humming softly. Outside, the land looked dead. Gray mountains, silent rivers, and forests made of bones and glass. Yet as the ship moved closer to the marked location, something changed. The scanners began picking up faint energy pulses, old but alive, like a heartbeat under the soil. Inside the pod, the twins began to glow again, their light pulsing in rhythm with the ship's sensors. Ryan noticed and frowned. "Looks like you know where we're going," he said softly. As they flew over the wasteland, strange ruins appeared below. Broken towers stood half buried in dust and symbols glowed faintly on their walls. He slowed the ship and landed near one of the ruins. Curiosity was stronger than fear. The moment he stepped outside, his helmet filled with whispers. Hundreds of faint voices like memories trapped in the wind. The pendant around his neck pulsed and the alien babies stirred inside the ship. Ryan looked up at the ruin. On one wall, he saw something that made him stop breathing. It was a carving of a human, tall, wearing armor, standing beside beings that looked exactly like the twins. Above them were words in alien script glowing faintly. His helmet translated them. "The Skybearer will return our heirs." Ryan felt a chill run through his whole body. "Skybearer," he repeated under his breath. "What are you two?" Suddenly the ground beneath his boots cracked open. A soft light spread out, forming a glowing path that led deep into the forest ahead, the same direction as the coordinates. "All right," he muttered, gripping his weapon. "I'll follow your path." He returned to the ship, started the engines again, and followed the glowing trail. It wound through canyons and valleys where the sky looked broken and colors swirled like oil on water. The deeper he went, the more alive the planet became. Blue plants bloomed as his ship passed. Rivers began to flow where dust had been moments ago. It was as if the planet itself recognized the twins' presence. Ryan stared out the window, amazed and uneasy. "What kind of power do you two have?" The pendant on his chest vibrated again, projecting a faint hologram, a map that ended at a vast crater surrounded by crystal mountains. At its center, hidden beneath layers of fog, lay a cluster of round stone domes. The coordinates matched perfectly. "This must be it," he said. "The village." He landed on a flat ledge above the crater and stepped out carefully. The babies were awake now, watching him quietly with those silver eyes. Their light flickered faster, almost nervous. As Ryan looked down at the crater, he saw movement, faint shapes shifting under the mist. Then slowly, hundreds of eyes began to open in the darkness below. They glowed blue and green, blinking one by one until the entire valley shimmered like a field of stars. A low humming sound filled the air, deep and ancient. Ryan gripped his rifle. "Stay calm," he whispered to himself. "They're alive. They're watching." The mist parted. From below, tall figures emerged. The villagers of Vora. Their skin glowed faintly, covered with thin patterns of light. Their faces were narrow, elegant, and their eyes shone with emotion that looked almost human. They did not attack. They simply stood there, silent, staring at the human who carried their children. Ryan raised one hand slowly. "I mean no harm," he said through the speaker. "I found these babies in a crash. I just want to return them." A long pause. Then one of the aliens stepped forward, an older one wrapped in dark robes carrying a staff that hummed with energy. The others bowed slightly as he approached. The elder stopped in front of Ryan, eyes filled with wonder. He looked at the twins and whispered in his own language. The pendant around Ryan's neck translated the words softly. The prophecy breathes again. The Skybearer has come. Ryan blinked. I'm no prophecy. I'm just human. Before he could finish, the elder raised his staff. A pulse of light swept through the air. The babies began to float gently, wrapped in a sphere of energy, and drifted toward the aliens. The crowd gasped softly as the twins opened their eyes and smiled. The elder bowed deeply to Ryan. You carried the heirs across the void. You brought them home. Ryan didn't know what to say. I just did what anyone would do. But the elder's voice was calm and certain. No human. Only the chosen could pass the dark forest alive. The planet itself guided you. The prophecy names you Skybearer, the one who bridges worlds. Ryan shook his head. That's not me. I'm a pilot, not a bridge. The elder touched the pendant on Ryan's chest. This belonged to our last king. It chose you. Before Ryan could react, the pendant burned with light. The mark of a glowing hand appeared on his palm, the same symbol from the forest. The villagers gasped, bowing to the ground. Ryan stepped back, his heart pounding. What's happening to me? The elder smiled faintly. You have returned our heirs, Skybearer. Now destiny will return you. The air filled with chanting. The twins' eyes glowed brighter, and the mountains around the village began to shimmer like mirrors reflecting the stars. Ryan stood there, surrounded by light, feeling the ground hum beneath him, the whole planet alive and watching. He didn't know it yet, but this was the moment the aliens of Vora began to whisper his new name, the human king of the sky. The alien village was like nothing Ryan Cole had ever seen. Built deep inside the crater, it shimmered with light that came not from fire, but from the walls themselves. Every stone, every path, every roof glowed with slow-moving veins of blue energy, like the entire place was alive and breathing. As Ryan walked through the narrow streets, he could feel eyes on him, hundreds of them. Alien villagers watched from doorways and rooftops, whispering in a language that sounded like wind over glass. Wherever he went, the whispers followed. Skybearer. Skybearer. He didn't like it. He wasn't used to being looked at like that. He was a soldier, an explorer, not a hero from some ancient myth. Still, the pendant on his chest pulsed softly with light, and the mark on his hand burned faintly, like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. The elder, whose name was Taryn, guided him deeper into the village. The alien children followed at a distance, curious but quiet. The twins, the strange crystal-skinned babies, were carried ahead by two robed caretakers. They seemed completely calm, as if they knew this was where they belonged. Finally, Taryn stopped before a large circular structure carved into the rock. The door opened by itself, light spilling out like liquid silver. Enter, Skybearer, Taryn said. This is the Hall of Echoes. It remembers everything. Ryan hesitated, then stepped inside. The hall was huge, a dome filled with walls covered in glowing carvings. The air inside hummed like 1,000 faint voices whispering at once. Strange images covered the stone. Wars, stars, and beings that looked half human, half alien. At the center stood a stone table, and above it, a hologram flickered to life, an ancient recording in shimmering blue light. A tall alien stood in the projection, holding two babies that looked like the twins. Beside him stood a human, wearing armor marked with the same symbol that now glowed on Ryan's palm. Ryan stepped closer, eyes wide. Is that the human? Taryn nodded slowly. Long ago, humans and our kind were one. We called your people the Sky Builders. They taught us to shape the stars, but then war came. The hologram changed, now showing ships exploding, planets burning, and both humans and aliens falling in battle. Taryn's voice grew heavy. Your ancestors destroyed our skies, and in their rage our own kind destroyed yours. The bond was lost, until now. Ryan watched silently. His heart ached. He had grown up hearing stories about ancient wars, but humanity had erased so much of its own past. Could this really be true? He turned to Taryn. Why me? Why do you think I'm this Skybearer? The elder touched the glowing mark on Ryan's hand. Because the planet itself accepted you. No other human could walk the dead forest without death. The soil, the air, even the light obeyed you. That is the sign. Ryan shook his head. I didn't command anything. I was just trying to save two babies. Terran smiled faintly. That is why you were chosen. Power never chooses those who seek it. Before Ryan could respond, the ground beneath the hall trembled. The hologram flickered and vanished. The walls dimmed. Terran's face turned grim. They are here, Ryan frowned. Who's here? The Scorvens, Terran said quietly. The Dark Ones who serve only chaos. They know the heirs have returned. Outside, a deep rumble echoed through the crater. The light from the village walls flickered like candle flame. Ryan's soldier instincts kicked in. Get the twins to safety, he said quickly. If someone's coming, they'll come for them first. Terran nodded. We will hide them. But you must see this first. He led Ryan to the far wall where a massive stone stood covered in symbols. Terran placed his hand on it and the stone split apart, revealing a hidden chamber below. Inside was something that took Ryan's breath away. A human ship, old and rusted, half buried in rock. Its design was unmistakable. Earth technology, centuries old. Ryan stepped closer, brushing away the dust. The ship's nameplate read, Erebus United Earth Fleet. How is this possible? He whispered. That ship was lost 300 years ago. Terran's voice was soft. The first Skybearer came in that ship. He was our last bridge to your kind. He left behind the promise that one day another human would return, carrying the heirs of peace. Ryan stared at the broken vessel. His throat tightened. And you think that's me? Not think, Terran said. No. Before Ryan could answer, the ground shook again, harder this time. Dust rained from the ceiling. Outside, a horn blasted. A sound like metal tearing the sky. Ryan rushed out of the hall and saw dark shapes moving above the crater. Ships, black and sharp like knives. Scorvens! Cried one of the villagers. Explosions lit up the sky. The once silent mountains now echoed with screams. Ryan's training took over. Get everyone underground, he shouted. Terran, where are the twins? Safe beneath the hall, the elder replied. Ryan drew his plasma pistol, his hand steady. Then we fight. Terran's eyes glowed faintly as he raised his staff. You truly are Skybearer. Ryan didn't answer. He looked up at the dark ships descending through the clouds. His heart pounded, not with fear, but with something stronger. Determination. The Scorvens wanted a war, but humanity had always known how to fight for what mattered, and this time, Ryan wasn't fighting for Earth. He was fighting for a world that had already started calling him their king. The first blast shook the ground like thunder from the gods. Ryan Cole threw himself behind a stone wall as fire rained from the sky. Alien villagers screamed and scattered, their glowing homes bursting into blue flames. Above, dark ships circled like vultures, sharp, black, and silent. The Scorvens had arrived. Ryan's training kicked in. He scanned the sky, counting at least 6 enemy craft. Their weapons were old plasma cannons, crude but deadly. They're not here to talk, he muttered. Elder Terran stood beside him, calm despite the chaos. They come for the heirs, he said. They want the prophecy destroyed before it begins. Ryan clenched his jaw. Then we'll make sure they fail. He turned toward a group of villagers hiding near the entrance to the Hall of Echoes. You get everyone underground. Seal the tunnels. No one comes out until I say. The aliens hesitated. One of them asked, But what of you, Skybearer? Ryan loaded his plasma rifle and gave a half smile. I'll be busy buying you time. He sprinted toward a fallen tower, ducking as another blast hit the ground behind him. The shockwave threw dust into the air, cutting visibility. Through the smoke, Ryan could see dark shapes dropping from the ships. Scorven soldiers. They were tall, armored, and fast. Their faces were covered with metal masks, shaped like skulls, their voices mechanical. They carried pulse spears that glowed sickly green. Ryan crouched behind a pillar and whispered into his wrist mic. Terran, are the twins secure? Yes, came the elder's voice. They are safe in the sacred chamber, but the enemy grows. Understood, Ryan replied. Time to even the odds. He pressed a button on his wrist. His armor panel shifted, revealing the compact drone system built into his pack. 3 drones zipped out, projecting energy shields across the open courtyard. When the first Scorven appeared, Ryan opened fire. The plasma bolt hit the attacker dead center, sending him crashing into a wall of glowing moss. The others hissed, spreading out like shadows. The villagers watched from hiding as the human moved with precision and fury. Every shot counted, every move planned. He fights like the first Skybearer, whispered one alien child. But Ryan was outnumbered. For every Scorvan he took down, 2 more landed. He ducked behind a ruined archway, breathing hard. His suit's power cells were draining fast. Then his earpiece buzzed. Terran again. There is something you must see, Skybearer. Beneath the hall lies the old chamber of weapons. It remembers your kind, Ryan frowned. Weapons? From the First Alliance, Terran said. Your ancestors left them for the day you would return. Ryan looked toward the Hall of Echoes, smoke rising from its roof. On my way. He sprinted across the open ground, dodging fire, and dived through the stone doorway just as another blast hit behind him. Inside, the walls pulsed dimly, reacting to his presence. Terran was waiting near a staircase that led downward. The chamber lies below, the elder said. They descended into darkness. The air grew cold and metallic. When they reached the bottom, Ryan stopped in awe. The chamber stretched for miles, filled with strange machines, glowing orbs, armored suits, and massive cannons made from both human steel and alien crystal. Ryan stepped closer to one of the machines. His wrist device blinked. Biometric match detected. The weapon activated, humming with light. Lines of blue energy crawled across its surface until it looked alive. By the stars, Ryan whispered. These are fusion tech. Human design, but enhanced. Terran nodded. The First Alliance made them together. You and us. Ryan ran his fingers along the weapon's side, reading the inscription etched into the metal. For when the Skybearer returns, these fires will rise again. He smiled faintly. Let's wake the fires, then. Minutes later, the ground above shook again. But this time the sky exploded with light. Energy cannons hidden in the cliffs powered on, firing blue bolts into the enemy ships. The villagers watched in awe as their dead world came alive, the ruins glowing. The air filled with electric hums of forgotten machines. Ryan stood at the center of the chaos, controlling the ancient weapons through his armor's interface. One Scorvan ship fell, then another. Flames streaked across the horizon. The aliens cheered, their voices echoing through the crater. For the first time in centuries, the people of Vora fought back. But victory didn't come easy. The last Scorvan ship dove toward the ground, ready to crash into the village. Ryan shouted, "Brace for impact!" The ship struck the outer ridge, sending fire and debris everywhere. The blast wave hit Ryan hard, throwing him to the ground. His helmet cracked, his vision blurred. Through the smoke, he saw a figure stepping out of the wreck, tall, armored, and radiating black energy. The Scorvan commander. You should not have come here. Human, the creature hissed, its voice metallic. Those children belong to us. Ryan struggled to his feet, plasma rifle shaking in his hands. They belong to no one. The commander laughed, a cold echoing sound. Then you will die for them. The two charged at each other, steel and light colliding in the ruins of an ancient world. Ryan's shot hit first, blasting through the commander's chest armor, but the alien didn't fall. It swung its spear, hitting Ryan hard across the shoulder, sending him crashing into the dust. Pain flared, but Ryan forced himself up, pulling a small device from his belt, one of the ancient energy cores. He pressed it to his rifle and fired again. The weapon roared with power. The blast lit up the entire crater. The commander screamed, disintegrating in a wave of blue light. Then silence. Ryan fell to his knees, exhausted but alive. The villagers emerged slowly from the tunnels, their eyes wide with gratitude and awe. Terran approached, resting a glowing hand on Ryan's shoulder. You have awakened the old war machines. The planet remembers you now. Ryan looked up at the smoking sky, his voice soft. Then let's make sure it remembers peace next. Above them, the clouds parted for the first time, revealing twin suns shining down on Vora, as if the world itself was finally breathing again. But deep within the shadows of space, unseen by all, another Scorvan fleet stirred. The war had only begun. Smoke covered the sky of planet Vora. The battle that was supposed to be over had only just begun. Ryan Cole stood at the edge of the ruined crater, watching the last Scorvan ship burn in the distance. He had barely caught his breath when the warning lights on his wrist flickered red. Multiple contacts. Inbound. He stared at the display. 20 ships, bigger than before. Moving fast. A cold wind passed through the valley as the villagers began to whisper in fear. The Dark Ones return, said Elder Terran. This time they bring their army. Ryan's voice was firm, though his heart raced. Then we fight harder. He looked around. The once quiet village was now half destroyed, blue flames glowing in the cracks of broken stone. The ancient weapons he had awakened still hummed with fading light. But they were weak. The planet trembled as the new Scorvan fleet descended from the clouds like a storm of shadows. Ryan turned toward the Hall of Echoes. "Terran, get the twins underground. No one leaves the tunnels until I say," the elder bowed. "What will you do, Skybearer?" Ryan loaded his rifle and said quietly, "Finish what I started." Minutes later, the first wave hit. Scorvan dropships tore through the clouds, landing in bursts of dust and fire. Armored soldiers poured out, their glowing spears cutting through the smoke. The air smelled of metal and ash. Ryan sprinted across the ruins, shouting orders. The villagers, once simple farmers and builders, now stood ready with plasma spears made from the old machines. He had trained them for this moment. "Hold your ground," he shouted. "Protect the tunnels." The first Scorvans charged. Ryan fired, hitting the lead soldier. The aliens returned fire, plasma bolts screaming through the air. Blue and green light flashed everywhere. The battlefield became chaos. The ground shook with every blast. The walls of the hall cracked, pieces falling as villagers screamed. Ryan's suit alarms blared. Power low. Shields critical. But he didn't stop. He saw two Scorvans break through the line, heading straight for the tunnels. Without thinking, he ran toward them. He leapt over burning debris and tackled the first one to the ground. They rolled in the dust, claws scraping metal. Ryan jammed his knife into the alien's chest, sparks flying. The second Scorvan swung its spear, but Ryan dodged and fired point blank. Both fell silent. But when Ryan looked up, he saw something that froze his blood. A massive Scorvan warship hovered above the crater, its engines shaking the mountains. From its underbelly, a beam of dark energy shot down, straight into the Hall of Echoes. "No!" Ryan shouted. He ran as fast as he could, diving through falling stone and smoke. Inside, the chamber was collapsing. The twins' cries echoed through the noise. Terran tried to shield them with his body, but the blast threw him back. Ryan grabbed the babies, pulling them close as part of the roof gave way. The air filled with dust and fire. "Stay with me," he shouted, coughing. The twins' silver light flared brightly, protecting him from the falling debris. The pendant on his chest pulsed like a living heart. He looked up through the hole in the roof and saw a dark figure watching from the warship. The Scorvan High Commander. The commander's voice echoed through the ship's loudspeakers. "Human, you carry what belongs to us. Give us the heirs and your death will be quick." Ryan gritted his teeth. "You'll have to take them from me," the commander laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "So be it." A black beam shot down, engulfing Ryan and the twins. For a moment, everything went silent. No sound, no light, only pain. Then the world exploded. When Ryan opened his eyes, he was inside the beam, floating in the air, pulled upward toward the Scorvan ship. His armor sparked, his body weak. He tried to hold on to the twins, but the force was too strong. One of the babies slipped from his arms, rising faster toward the ship. "No!" Ryan reached out, screaming, but his voice was swallowed by the roar of energy. He activated his jetpack, pushing the last of his power to full. Blue fire burst from his boots and he shot upward into the beam. The wind tore at him, the heat burning his suit, but he didn't stop. He caught the baby just before it vanished into the dark. The strain was too much. His armor overloaded, alarms screaming. "Hold together!" he yelled to himself, forcing the jetpack higher. He broke through the cloud of energy and slammed onto the Scorvan ship's surface. The impact cracked his helmet, but he was alive. Barely. The ship's hull opened and soldiers poured out. Ryan didn't hesitate. He fired, moved, and fought like a man with nothing left to lose. His rifle ran out of charge, so he used his fists, his blade, his will. He reached the command deck, a glowing hall filled with black glass. At its center stood the High Commander, waiting. "You are only human," the creature said. "You cannot stop destiny." Ryan raised his rifle, blood on his face. "Watch me." The commander attacked first, faster than lightning. The two clashed in a blur of light and metal. Sparks flew with every hit. Ryan's armor cracked, his strength fading, but he refused to fall. At last, he jammed the pendant into his rifle's core and fired one final shot. The weapon erupted with blue light, hitting the commander square in the chest. The alien screamed as the blast tore through the ship. The explosion shook the sky. The warship began to break apart, flames bursting from its engines. Ryan grabbed both babies, running toward the escape pod. He jumped inside just as the ship exploded behind him. The pod shot down through the atmosphere, burning like a star. When it crashed in the valley below, villagers ran to it. The hatch opened and Ryan stumbled out covered in ash, holding the twins close. The crowd fell silent. Even the wind stopped. Elder Terran stepped forward, tears in his eyes. You brought them back again? You truly are the sky-bearer. Ryan looked at the ruined sky, his voice rough. Then I'll carry them until there's no sky left. Above them, the smoke cleared. Twin suns rose again, brighter than before, and for the first time, planet Vora saw hope. The twin suns of Vora rose together, washing the land in gold and silver light. For the first time in centuries, the planet looked alive. Rivers shimmered, forests glowed, and the winds carried the sound of laughter instead of fear. At the highest ridge of the crater, Ryan Cole stood watching the sunrise. His armor was no longer broken. It had merged with the blue energy of the world, shining faintly beneath his skin. The pendant's mark still burned on his chest, warm and steady, a living heartbeat inside him. Behind him, the alien village had been rebuilt. The glowing houses stood tall again, powered by the planet's reborn core. The people of Vora moved with pride, whispering his name, Skybearer, Protector, the human king. Ryan never liked the word king, but he could no longer deny it. The planet itself had chosen him. Elder Terran approached, leaning on his staff but smiling softly. The airs grow stronger each day, he said. They learn your tongue now. They speak your name. Ryan turned, smiling at the thought. They're just children. Let them be that for a while. Children born of light and blood, Terran replied. When they reach the time of union, they will lead both our races to the stars again. And you will guide them. Ryan looked toward the horizon where the sky met the shining plains. Guide them, yes, but not rule them. The elder nodded. Then you are a true king, one who rules by heart, not by throne. Later that day, Ryan walked through the village. Alien children ran around him, some carrying small glowing stones that acted like toys. When they saw him, they bowed shyly. He knelt and smiled. No need for that. Just Ryan, all right? They giggled, their voices soft and musical. Inside the rebuilt Hall of Echoes, the twins lay on a floating cradle of light. Their skin shimmered with tiny constellations, as if the stars themselves lived within them. When Ryan touched their hands, he saw brief flashes in his mind. Cities made of glass, humans and aliens working side by side, ships leaving Vora together. He gasped and stepped back. What was that? Terran's voice came from behind. Visions of what is to come. The airs can show futures yet unmade. Ryan stared at the twins, awe and fear mixing inside him. Then maybe peace isn't just a dream. Peace never was, Terran said. It only needed someone brave enough to believe in it again. Night came quietly. The two moons glowed above, one silver and one white. The stars stretched across the sky like a sea of diamonds. Ryan sat near the cliff, his communicator open in his hand. He had repaired it weeks ago, though it hadn't worked since the crash. Tonight something felt different. The device flickered, static hissing through the speaker. Then, a faint human voice. This is Command Ship Ares. Unidentified signal detected. Is anyone out there? Ryan froze. His heart pounded. Ares, this is Commander Ryan Cole, Earth Expedition Unit 47. I'm alive. Do you read me? More static, then clearer. Cole, Ryan Cole, you were declared missing 10 years ago. He blinked. 10 years? It felt like months. We tracked your last beacon near Vora, but that planet was listed dead. Ryan looked around at the glowing forests and living air. Not dead anymore. Listen, you're not going to believe this, but there's life here. Intelligent life. They're rebuilding. There was a pause. Then a different voice, colder. Cole, we're dispatching a fleet to retrieve you. Stay where you are. The transmission cut off. Ryan stared at the device, his chest tightening. A fleet, he whispered. From Earth, Terran stepped beside him. Your people return? Ryan nodded slowly. Yes, but I don't know what they'll do when they see this world. They might not come in peace. The elder placed a hand on his shoulder. Then they will find a human king waiting for them, one who knows both sides of the sky. Days passed. The stars grew brighter each night. Then one evening, Ryan saw it, a trail of lights descending through the clouds. The Earth fleet. He stood on the ridge with the villagers behind him, the twins beside him glowing like small suns. The ships hovered above the valley, their metallic hulls shining under Vora's twin moons. Ryan activated his communicator. Fleet Ares, this is Ryan Cole of Vora. You are entering protected space. A human voice replied, confident and sharp. Protected? By who? Ryan looked at the thousands of glowing eyes behind him. By a world that just learned to live again. There was silence on the other end. Then quietly, Are we too late, Commander? Ryan smiled faintly. You're right on time, just try not to break anything. The fleet landed. For the first time in history, humans and the people of Vora stood face to face. Two species once torn apart, now connected again through one man and two shining children. The villagers bowed and the human soldiers saluted. For a brief, impossible moment, the universe felt whole. Ryan looked at the stars above. He thought of the voice he had heard long ago in the forest. Return them before the moon bleeds. He had done that. And more. He turned to Terran. What happens now? The elder's answer was simple. Now we build the bridge between worlds and guard it forever. Ryan gazed at the twins. They smiled up at him, their eyes like galaxies. He felt a strange peace settle in his heart. He raised his head toward the sky and whispered, For Earth, for Vora, for the stars. The twin suns rose again, their light merging into one, and somewhere deep in the cosmos, far beyond any known star, a new message was sent, a call not of war or conquest, but of hope. The human king of Vora lives. The light has returned. The stars remember.